Ethiopia Jebute diplomacy dates back to ancient times of pre-colonial East Africa. There are abundant records indicating several hundred years of diplomatic history between kingdoms and sultanates of the two states. Much of that long history of bilateral relations has been characterized by extraordinary neighborliness.
Ethiopia Djibouti በብዙ መስክ
Ethiopia and Djibouti have an age-long and strong relations, and the peoples of the two countries are families. The relation started when Ethiopians made pilgrimage to Jerusalem.
The bonds between the countries go much beyond sharing geographic borders. They are even more invigorated by peoples in both countries, having the same culture and speaking the same language. The psychological closeness of these peoples truly transcends the physical boundaries. When Djibouti was under French rule, the ties between the two countries were limited to trade. An important milestone in boosting bilateral trade was the Ethiopia Jebute Railway, the Franco-Ethiopian Railway as it was then called, linking Djibouti to the heart of Ethiopia, was begun in 1897 and reached Addis Ababa in June 1917. The new railway helped boost bilateral trade as well as the volume of Ethiopia's international commerce. It was also to become an important gateway, aiding mobility and cultural exchange. The much-cherished 786-kilometer-long railway symbolizes the long and fruitful ties of the two neighboring countries as well as their fraternal peoples.
Peoples of the two nations have never merged like now. We have relations that spanned prior to the construction of the railway in ancient times.
The two countries have been enjoying stronger diplomatic ties since 1977, when Djibouti got its independence. The strong ties between the two countries have been further consolidated after the Ethiopia-Eritrea border conflict, when Ethiopia made the crucial decision to use Djibouti as the principal port for its import-export trade. Ethiopia's move in this regard has helped to further bring the two countries and their peoples even closer.
The relationship between Ethiopia and Djibouti is not as such a type of relationship, the traditional relationship between two countries. It is a type of relationship between the families.
In the best interest of assuring mutual development and advancing closer people-to-people ties, the two countries are working together in the social, economic and political spheres.
ወዳጅነት አብሮ መስራት ትስስራችንን ማጠናከር ወደፊት ለመሄድ ለህዝቦቻችን
It is my wish and vision to strengthen our friendship and partnership as well as ensuring mutual growth so as to develop and prosper our countries and peoples.
Ethiopia shares this vision of enhancing friendship and mutual growth and is hard at working to that end. Ethiopia sees economic integration with neighboring countries and considers Djibouti a priority in this regard. Thus, as a manifestation of this desire, massive bilateral-oriented infrastructure developments are in evidence.
This is the departure of both governments to have joint vision of creating economic integration between the two countries. Therefore, at this time, we are on the process of fulfilling the preconditions, the requirements of economic integration, which is strong infrastructural ties between the two countries. That's why both countries are engaged in building massive infrastructures that will interconnect both countries.
Ethiopia and Djibouti have been engaging in huge infrastructure development activities to materialize the envisioned economic integration, and both countries have been connected in railway, road, and electricity. In the cooperation between the two countries, the matter of port stands at the forefront since Ethiopia is undertaking almost all of its import-export activities via ports in Djibouti. As its economy is booming, Ethiopia's use of ports has been increasing over the past decade. Following Ethiopia's economic boom, Djibouti's ports have become busy and the government is utilizing its ports properly.
Yes, it's progressing every year. Have you seen the economic growth of Ethiopia? In the same rate where we've seen the traffic through Djibouti ports is also increasing.
Certainly, the ongoing mega projects in Ethiopia and raising local demand for imports of industrial commodities have led to an ever-increasing use of ports in Djibouti.
Today, the Ethiopian volume is basically represent almost 85 to 90% of the throughput, local throughput going through Dorali container terminal. So today, the main customer for this terminal is basically the Ethiopian market.
The strategic role of ports cannot be underestimated as Ethiopia strives to sustain the momentum and move steps ahead to join the club of middle-income countries. As an important strategic partner in this regard, Djibouti has allocated $8 billion to expand and modernize its port facilities and infrastructures.
We didn't require it to invest into railways. We didn't require it into, from Djibouti economy perspective itself. We didn't require it to build that numbers of port. If only Ethiopia were not growing and Ethiopia were not integrated economically to Djibouti.
To address the ever-increasing demand for port services, Djibouti is expanding its existing port and building new ones. Thus, the old port of Djibouti is undergoing expansion. New port facilities in Tajura, Gubet, Damerjak, and Doraleh are under construction. The Tajura port, expected to be completed in 2016, will enable the potash minerals in North Ethiopia to be dispatched direct to the port.
Don't forget about it. Tajura, Asaita, then later on to Awash and Mekelle represent also a very important project for the development and transformation of Ethiopia, as mineral resources such as potash will be exported and this train will be dedicated to it. I think at the end of the day, this project will be starting very soon in 2015.
Benefits in particular will be that the potash coming from Ethiopia will have a terminal for exportation that is quite close to the country. So trucks and railways will not be so long as to go in the port of Djibouti.
The Damerjak specialized port also enables Ethiopia to export its cattle to the Middle East, while Gubet port is expected to be completed by 2015. Tajura, Damerjak, and Doraleh multi-purpose ports are planned to be operational by 2016. Roads and railways that link the capital Addis Ababa with Djibouti and the city of Mekelle with the port of Tajura are under construction. Thus far, Ethiopia has constructed 72%, while Djibouti has completed 65% of its share of the Addis Ababa-Djibouti railway project. This important rail project is expected to be finalized in October 2015. Upon completion in 2015, both projects are expected to boost Ethiopia's import-export trade and further strengthen the economic ties of the two countries. The planned construction of the Dreddawa-Dawele project will also be launched soon. As an additional vital artery, this new road will connect Addis Ababa with Djibouti via Awash. In addition to their cooperation in railway and road projects, the two countries are bilaterally involved in the energy and water sectors. Currently, Ethiopia's export of 35 megawatt of electricity is powering the homes of 60% of the Djibouti population. Bilateral agreement has also been signed between the two countries for the daily provision of 103,000 cubic meters of groundwater to Djibouti. This important agreement will be in effect for the next 30 years. What is more, the two countries have planned to establish specialized industrial zones. They are also working to merge and conduct their immigration and customs services at a single border post. This agreement is expected to further consolidate the two nations' economic integration. The regional body, Intergovernmental Authority on Development, or IGAD, has planned an infrastructure-driven economic integration among member states, known as the Minimum Integration Plan, or MIP. The scheme encompasses cooperation in the transport industry, ICT, peace and security, and agriculture sectors, among others. Ethiopia and Djibouti are two nations that have been particularly hugely investing on infrastructure to implement the envisaged IGAD plan. The expansion of infrastructure will enable the two exemplary countries to integrate their economy.
We believe that Djibouti and Ethiopia can become the engine and the locomotive for that regional integration, because we have already laid the foundation of those infrastructure, and we can, I think we can, and that's, I mean, a firm belief from the Djibouti's people and government that we can play that role.
Clearly, the two nations are torchbearers of regional economic integration, as they have achieved the minimum integration plan earlier than others.
We said that we are ahead from that plan. We want to be, as I said, the locomotive of the region. So we will go further beyond that plan of minimal integration. We need a full integration between the economies of the two countries.
The Ethiopian embassy in Djibouti is playing a pivotal role in consolidating the two countries' economic ties and materializing the two governments' joint vision of economic integration.
The mission of this embassy is to implement, to facilitate the speedy implementation of this vision of our leaders.
Telecom Connectivity is yet another sphere where Ethiopia and Djibouti are working in collaboration. The telecom service providers of the two countries are working closely to boost the crucially important service for possible economic integration.
We are here to give them a good services, a good price, because we want to work hand in hand with Ethiopia Telecom for integration, for regional integration. I think that in the region, Ethiopia is the most closer country to Djibouti. We work like brother. We provide Ethiopia provide us electricity, so they use also our port, and we provide them IP traffic through submarine cable. So
the Djibouti Telecom is providing IP transit lines for eTelecom. The company is closely working to upgrade the capacity of the optical fiber that stretches to Ethiopia to help meet the ever-increasing demand for broadband internet access. Tourism is also among the sectors that will help to integrate the two countries' economies. The natural, historical and cultural attractions of Ethiopia and Djibouti draw visitors from both sides and boost tourism earnings in both sides.
If we put together our competence, our knowledge, I am sure we can do so many things. Imagine the complementarity between Djibouti and Ethiopia. If we propose this to North American and European tourists, they will decide to come. You have so many beautiful landscapes. You have so many beautiful historical sites in Ethiopia, and we have the sea. So many beautiful underwater life. So let us put together what we have. Let our people work together, and then we will help our country.
The two countries signed an agreement way back in 2012 to cooperate in the tourism sector, and since then, they have been working together to improve the sector. There is no doubt that trade has paramount importance in facilitating economic cooperation between countries. In this regard, the strong trade ties between Ethiopia and Djibouti are believed to play a crucial role. The volume of trade exchange is increasing every year and has now reached $76 million. The service sector contributes up to 68% towards Djibouti's GDP, and the largest share comes from the scale of port services to Ethiopia. As a trading partner, Ethiopia on its part exports coffee, gold, leather, fruit, vegetables, and power to Djibouti. Undoubtedly, both countries are strongly committed and highly motivated to build strong and comprehensive relations based on mutual interests, and certainly there is every indication that will realize the great IGAD vision of creating regional integration.